happened in human history. Whatever the technology of the day was, that is how they kept track of the citizens of their country. Hey, look, I know a lot of people saying, well, we need to know what these other people are trying to do to attack us. I agree. But do you label your own people as domestic terrorists? Do you label your military veterans who fight to protect the country and keep, your government in place? Do you label them potential domestic terrorists? Do you label a housewife and a soccer mom a potential terrorist? So, or do you label a guy who lives in Colorado who now is, just trying to, toke his way into heaven by smoking his way into heaven, you know what I mean? Do you all of a sudden start putting devices that track him without getting a warrant? Because, hey, this guy, he's buying and selling pot. He could be getting it from Mexico or something. He could be a domestic terrorist. Where does it end? Anything that you or I do, I could be labeled a domestic terrorist because I'm speaking out against the bad stuff that our government does. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a file on me at the NSA and Homeland Security. Honestly, I'm not being facetious about that. Where does it end? Look, our founding fathers pretty much, they nailed it on the head. They said, look, those of you who are willing to give up a little bit of freedom for a little bit of security deserve neither freedom nor security, and indeed will have neither. Because you think you're going to be safe, but where's your freedom? If you're saying that the NSA is there to protect your rights and your freedom, to protect and preserve the Constitution, then how do they do that? By destroying your rights as protected by the Constitution. How does the NSA protect your rights? By destroying and shredding the Constitution. Now you don't have any rights. Now you don't have any freedom. But you're also not necessarily any safer, because now you don't only have to worry about the terrorists, but you have to worry about your own government coming in and breaking down your door at 3:00 in the morning, which our government has done to people. So you have to ask, where does it stop? And now Chris Christie is like jumping on, well, you can't enjoy your civil liberties if you're in a coffin. Well, you can't enjoy your civil liberties if your government takes them from you. You don't have them. The NSA and the Homeland Security are not for the Constitution. I'm going to just put it out there. When it comes to the American citizen, they are not on the side of the Constitution for the American citizen. Because if they were, they would see that having these server farms that keep all this kind of information on us, on each and every individual American citizen, is not keeping us safe. It's kind of like the TSA out there, searching grandmas and little boys that are 6 years old and little girls that are 5. We got to search them for, potential weapons. And not once has the TSA ever prevented a hijacking from happening in this country. Not once. Not once. There's been no terrorists caught. There have been people there have been people, including government officials, who, for whatever reason, have forgotten they had a firearm or a weapon on them when they approached the TSA designated areas. And they're like, oh my God, I forgot I had it. I don't know about you, but I don't think, we've even had U.S. congressmen who've been caught with this type of stuff. I don't think they're terrorists. Now, I don't think a nun is going to be... Well, you got to understand, Rod, these terrorists, they can dress up as nuns. Well, yeah, I guess they can, but have they? No, we haven't caught any that are trying to dress up as nuns anywhere on the planet. But yet we're supposed to give up our dignity and our rights as we go through an airport. Oh, yeah, just let them take a total naked screenshot of you. No, it's not going to end up online or anywhere else. And then what happens? Everybody finds out, they have pictures of themselves online. Naked x-rays of them. Wait a minute. You just told me you weren't going to put this online. Well, sorry. Where does it end? Have we forgotten about that? 9/11 scared the living daylights out of the American people. Rightfully so. We had a government that fell asleep, that failed to protect us. When all they had to do was connect the dots and talk to each other. Absolutely right. The department heads and departments and agencies in this government did not. They all felt that it was their territory, and they did not communicate with each other. Bingo. They failed to connect the dots. Because if they did, and if they had, they would have prevented 9/11 from ever happening. But since they failed to connect the dots that were already there for them to connect, they decided that they needed to be able to, what? Take away some of our freedom. There was a bad opportunity there to grow government. And that's exactly what they did. And now we have Chris Christie, who's standing by the big government issue. Now, while Rand Paul was in Philly yesterday promising to filibuster any attempt to extend the Patriot Act, Christie was in New Hampshire, here in my state, demanding a clean extension, including an extension of the momentarily illegal Section 215 or 215 that House Republicans and Democrats have joined together in trying to limit. Now, Rand Paul and Chris Christie have tangled before over civil liberties and national security, although never face to face. Now, 2 summers ago, Christie flashed his hawkishness by calling the libertarianism a very dangerous idea in a post-9/11 world. Now, understand, I am not what somebody would call a true libertarian. I think these true libertarians, like the kind that we have here in New Hampshire, they're nutcases. Now, maybe libertarians in your area are a little bit different, but the ones here in New Hampshire, the majority of them, are nutcases. I'm going to lay that out there. So I do not include myself with the Libertarian Party, although I do believe in liberty and in the Constitution. Evidently, it appears Chris Christie does not share my views. Do I share all of Rand Paul's? No, there are certain things, and like in certain foreign policy issues, Rand Paul is a total nut. But when it comes to the domestic issues about preserving and protecting your liberty, you cannot preserve liberty by taking it from somebody. So the notion that Chris Christie says you can't enjoy your civil liberties if you're in a coffin is diametrically opposed to what the founding fathers and how they would have reacted to this situation. It was the government's fault in the first place that they had the ability to, and they did not connect the dots to prevent it. So therefore, having this type of overreach is not protecting us anymore when they already had the ability to do so. They just didn't do it. And so because they didn't do it and it scared the hell out of the American people, now they think, now we're going to just, be able to take this idea and run with it. Bad opportunity for bad opportunist. And look, I said this back then. We cannot give up our freedom for a little bit of security because we're not going to end up with it. We're just going to end up with a bunch of stuff around this country that is going to be attacking individuals who have nothing to do with any kind of criminality whatsoever. And we saw it first with the TSA. It was blatant, and the American people were demanding changes. No, look, you got to stop this. Change the TSA. Give it back to private, whatever. The American people were overwhelmingly for reforming the TSA before it was even a year old. Did we get that reform? Hell no, we did not. Why? Because we gave them the power in the first place to create it. And once you create something in this era, in this government, you don't get rid of it. This is my point. Bad opportunists seize the moment. And when they seize that moment, it's over for us. We don't get back to where we were. This is part of the reason why so many people are frustrated with government now over Obamacare, because they thought that they elected a bunch of Republicans who were going to try to get rid of, every once in a while they'll come up and they'll throw up a plan to try to get rid of Obamacare. But nobody, have you noticed? The Republican leadership really doesn't press the issue. Oh, yeah, we just voted we voted again to defund Obama. If they want to get rid of it, defund it. Don't fund it. No, we can't shut down the government. Shut down the government. It won't be funded then, will it? There is no backbone for it. Why? Because the government thinks, even on the Republican side, well, it's maybe it's not so bad if we do some tweaks to it. Because all we hear now is, well, yeah, hey, you Republicans, you got to have an alternative idea for this then, don't you? You got to come up with ideas to fix it. No, they don't. But it's bad opportunity time. Once we get something, it is nearly impossible to get rid of it. And you people better wake up, because even people like Chris Christie is telling you, hey, the Patriot Act, yeah, we're not going to get rid of it. We shouldn't get rid of it. In fact, we should double down on it and grow it. And all that's going to do is affect your civil liberties, and your Constitution is going to mean nothing. And once you lose it, you're not getting it back. I'm telling you straight up, folks. This is no joke. You lose the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and everything that it stands for, you are not getting it back. Not without some sort of bloodthirsty revolution. And if you have a revolution, by the time it's all over, you're still not going to get it back. You're going to get something totally different. And it isn't going to be what we once had. Look, because I know people. And you're not going to have the same nation, because there are going to be states that, hey, revolution, the Civil War is over. Nah, we're not signing on to this. And the nation will no longer exist as we know it. That's just the way it is, folks. That's the way it is. It's because we've allowed bad opportunists to take advantage of us, and they're still doing it. And they're still trying to do it. And they're able to get away with it because we let them get away with it. And then when we fall for their tricks, it's kind of like a used car salesman, like that guy who was trying to sell me that Impala by saying that everything was original when I knew for a fact that it wasn't original. Look, we knew the TSA was not going to be a good idea. But, we kind of said, well, maybe it'll be a good idea if they just do it right. But we knew, as the American people knew, it was not going to be a good idea. Just like we knew that Obamacare was not going to be a good idea. But did we put people in place to stop Obamacare? No, we did not. And then we got Obamacare. And then we're like, oh my God, we got Obamacare, but they need to get rid of it. So we thought we'd vote people in who were going to get rid of it. And you know what? They didn't really want to get rid of it. It was too late. We had allowed them to give it to us. Plain and simple. Look, I hate to say it, but you really get the government you deserve. You get the government that you elect. We deserve this government. This is the government that we elected. We deserve all these policies in departments and agencies that they're creating and putting against us and taking away our constitutional rights. Why? Because we voted and elected them into office. It's our own fault, and we're the only ones who can fix it. And we better start fixing it before it gets too far, before it gets to the point of no return, or before we get to a point where we get the ultimate bad opportunist. And you know where that leads. Yeah, some people might call him the Antichrist, but I just say no, it's just another dictator. Somebody who views themselves as being a potentate or a Caesar or a king or an emperor. Don't doubt me, folks. The United States is not immune to that kind of stuff. You just select the wrong person at the wrong time, and they, being a good, bad opportunist, are going to take advantage, and then it's going to be too late. Don't doubt me.